You are watching Access LaPorte County, Channel 97. Coming up next is the August 9th, 2024 meeting of the Long Beach Building Commission. You can find more information for this meeting by visiting www.accesslaportecounty.org.
I will call the meeting to order at 1:05. This is the regular scheduled meeting of the Long Beach Building Commission for August 9th, 2024. Well, first item of business is roll call. Larry Wall, Bob LeMay.
Here.
Anita.
Here.
Ken.
Here.
Joy.
Here.
Pete.
Yes.
Joe.
Here.
Carl.
Here.
Thank you. First item of business is the approval of the minutes from the regular meeting. Those were sent out last week. Entertain a motion to accept those.
Oh.
Bob, second.
Second.
Anita, all those in favor, aye. Opposed?
I abstain. I'm really here.
I'm sorry, Joy, I didn't hear you.
I'll abstain. I was there.
Okay. Next up is the commissioner's report. We had 37 permits with construction costs of $2,348,041, which generated fees of $5,792. We received 187 calls on permits for information requests. Everything else is pretty standard. Next up is old business. There's been no change to the MS4 requirements. I'm going to present the contract from Reggie's company, OWM, I think, to the town council next month. The coastal resiliency groups, I had a meeting with the Lake Michigan Coastal Board on 2 weeks ago. And I inquired with Jenny Osborne as well as Joe Excel, who are the leaders of that department that I'm involved with, about the delineation of the natural organic high water mark. Chris had heard, and I'm not, I guess I'm bringing up just Chris had heard that there was going to be a delineation coming soon, so I inquired. And they said, Joe itself in particular, said that they are going to do one in the fall. And he and Joe and the local DNR representative at the Michigan City office is Steve Davis. He and Joe and Steve are going to get together and I put together a package so that people can bid it. And then that will be done. And he thinks it's going to be done sometime around October. But they have not come up with the package yet for people to bid on. So I know that's something that we've been anxious to see. Next up, building department software. We train every week. I think that we'll probably, we know that we will start the new software sometime before the new year and then make sure that we're all switched over by January 1st. So all the new registrants this year for the coming year will be online and our permits will be done online as well. Uh, 3002, next up is 3002 Northmore. We received drawings, which Honor sent out right after our last meeting, actually. And the retaining walls, if anybody wants to see it, here's a couple of copies of it. They moved the retaining walls. This has been an ongoing project for, I think, 3 years. They've finally moved the retaining walls inside of both setbacks, so it is approvable at our level. Any discussion on that?
I would move to approve.
Yes. Any second?
Second.
I'm sorry, Joy was the motion, Anita was the second.
Yes.
Any discussion? All those in favor, aye. Oops.
The residents. Same shaking out to the left. Right on.
Looks like it's encroaching.
So,
I'm sure when it was built, it was probably, the house itself. I know it's been there since I've been here, since '64. I don't know when it was built. It's been renovated, numerous times. But they're not doing anything with that. And that does, you can see on the note there that it's non-conforming because it encroaches into the setback. It looks like it encroaches 1.6 maybe. No, that's the fence.
well, if it's not new, yeah.
No, it's not new. The only thing new is the two red lines down below. They're trying to retain their hill.
Yeah, that, what we're talking about, wait, if I get this right, is the northwest corner of the building, is that what we're looking at?
No, the red lines on it's actually the northeast side of the lot. It's on the east side of the lot at the north side, which is the Lake Shore Drive side.
Yeah, that's the stuff we're gonna put in.
That's the stuff that the permit is for. Pete had asked about the encroachment on the northwest side corner of the house itself.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah,
And that number looks like what, 9.4 or something?
all I can see is the 1.6. I don't see the 9.4, but it's existing. They're not asking to change it or increase it.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Sorry. Any other discussion? All those in favor, aye. Aye. Opposed, same side. Number 11, 1902 Monrovia is at the BZA. 2207 Chastleton. We approved that permit last month with the exception of a retaining wall that was in the setback on the west, it's actually the northwest, but we'll call it the west side of the property. Unfortunately, when Carter went by the other day, were working on that retaining wall. Carter issued a stop work order and told them the wall had to come out. When I went by there this morning, it looked like they were starting to take the wall out. Pardon me.
Is there a question?
Yeah,
I drove by the other day and it just seemed like they had so much stuff in the front yard. Is that everything that we moved, covered?
The other, the walkways we improved, but that's, I assume that they were,
I mean, because there's a lot of brick or material in the front yard. I was just wondering, if they're taking a whole patio.
they're, I think they're taking out the sidewalk.
okay,
So it's part of the place.
okay. Since, and Carter and I talked about this at our meeting this past Wednesday. Since it's already been a problem, we're gonna keep a close eye on it. And Joe, I agree that the entire yard is torn up. But, that's not unusual, but it just seems like an awful lot of, destruction of the existing yard to put the patio in, but, I guess that's their method.
Well, then there's a question about this. I mean, when we talked about it last month, we talked about the retaining wall,
Yes,
said they had to go to the BZA. Yes,
right. We approved the permit accepting the retaining wall. They could not do the retaining wall.
but they might have, they did the retaining.
That's correct.
Did we sign that?
Did we just issue a stop work order? Or did you sign it?
I think it's not,
We did not cite them.
it's like, taking it out.
Well, I know they're taking it out, but we had told them they had to go to the BZA, and then they put it in. To me, that's a violation, and should be signed. I mean, it's like a stop over. We have to do all of that stuff and say, okay, go to the BZA, plus a stop over, please don't start. So they went ahead and did it. As far as I'm concerned, we need to address the contractor and we need to say, I mean, that's a third violation. It's the kind of stuff that we've gone through so many times here. And with the stuff that I include on the items that I include later on, we've tried to be so nice to all these people and be tolerant, and what happens? We end up fighting it somewhere down the line.
Yes, that's true.
We need to have some hard and fast rules that say, when we tell you to do something, do it, or don't do it, not do something.
Yeah, I might mention something.
If that's a motion, Pete, I would second it.
If they didn't have plans and had excluded, then they're not, so, you know, when we before, we wouldn't, it was out of the pockets.
I can get what we need.
Well, they should have had another set of plans without a retaining wall.
Well,
That's, that didn't work.
So, yeah, I know, I know. Second, that maybe you could use that one.
no, that's one of my pet peeves all the time, is we say, but this or that, and we should have exactly everything written out and make it clear, so there can't be mistakes. And I agree 100% with Pete.
Who's the contractor?
Tipa Landscaping. Tepa or Tipa.
Lombard?
And I know last week, the 2 consecutive days of the truck park with its wheels on the pavement. That's not allowed, that's not our job, of course, parking, I don't think. But, yeah, I think we need to consider that when we talk about this commercial vehicle parking ordinance.
Yes, well, on this particular instance, I suggest, I make a motion that we give them a citation.
Okay. I second that motion. Before we discuss, could I ask another question? Sure. What will we expect, or what are we looking for them to continue with the process? Should they submit a brand new permit and go through the process from A to Z? Or are we just gonna say, if you do this, then it's fine? I mean,
Well, we asked our plans where there was a retaining wall on.
right, I put it up on the screen.
Right. And that's the one we said, no, don't do this, go to the VTA.
Right, we said at last meeting, here's what they want to do, and I'll scroll on. This is an existing driveway and walk. They're putting pavers there. This hexagon area is a patio, which is the flagstone that you see there. This section was a permeable parking area. And this retaining wall is in the setback, so we said that you can't do that when we approved the permit. And the first thing that they did, Carter found, was put the retaining wall in. And not only did they put the retaining wall here, they extended it almost all the way to the street. So the motion is to cite them, which we can do. Is there anything else?
Is that a citation to both the builder and the homeowner?
I guess, it's whatever you guys want to do.
I think that would be decided. We did citations.
Okay,
I mean, that's a topic for, you bring up later, topic that we need to address. When a citation occurs and something is done that's not on the plan, who we send? Just the contractor? I mean, he's the one who supposedly agreed to the plan, or is it the person signed who requests the permit? Or is it both? And that's the kind of stuff we've got to decide.
I think when we redid those, I think we decided it was both.
Yes.
The other thing I think we should do is when we have a situation like that, we'll say, yeah, everything's okay, but this, we should say, okay, Larry, you can prove it when we have a new permit that excludes whatever it is that we're not allowing. So there's absolutely no question as to what we did.
okay.
I would answer that, you guys might not agree, but what you just said, Bob, I agree. But what they should do then is, once they have a new document, I would think before it's approved, it comes back to us and we approve it. So we can scrutinize it and make sure it's done correctly.
Okay, so right now we have a motion, it's been made and seconded to cite, both the homeowner and the contractor. Any discussion, further discussion on that? All those in favor, aye. Opposed, same sign. Okay, so, and I guess I'd ask Chris, if we change our policy, do we need to, so I guess, what Pete or Bob and Joe are talking about, they want to, instead of just what happened here, approving it without this part of it. They want to make sure that we get a new, either a drawing, or I should say a drawing and an application. Do we need to change that in our rules, so to say? Do we need to, what do we need to do
This one, or in general,
in general?
your co-worker said that you're able to put whatever conditions you want approval, you can even bring over permits. So, you know, those are the two, simple and straightforward options. I don't think you have to change anything.
Okay,
You're voting on those, you're just gonna have, but the permittees, the homeowners, they need to receive notice. So,
Okay. all right. So does everybody understand what Chris is saying? That we already have the ability to do that. And we just have to make sure that we're doing what you guys want. And what I'm hearing from you is that we come back to the building commission itself with, like this, let's just take this permit. What you're saying is, we're not gonna approve them anymore, subject to something. You want to have them resubmit without whatever we were gonna say subject to. Is that pretty much correct, Bob? That sound right?
Yeah, to me, that's creating a lot of work for us. I think each one can be handled individually. This is relatively simple. It's like, we'll accept this without the retaining walls. So to me, my way of thinking, I'd be fine with them saying, or us saying, give us a new plan without that. And Larry has that in his possession, he should be able to approve it. And I think if there's one that's more complicated than that, then I think we can bring
Okay.
it back.
All right, I think that meets with what Chris described.
The other thing about this is that we should not allow them to go forward until they pay the citations. That's sort of a disjointed process for that somewhere else. Anyways, keep track of that and keep.
We actually do, this is a little different, just because we're citing after we approve the permit, but we don't let work go on a job if they have an outstanding citation. I mean, I know it's happened in the past, but it doesn't happen anymore.
Yes.
Just, if we're still open with comment, just for the record, I don't agree with that, Bob. I think, we never do, and I've said it for years, that we don't approve anything with the whatever, you gotta do this. It should all be there in front of us, and that's what we should do. And
That it, Joe?
yes, thanks.
Okay. Next is really, we're not doing anything about it, shed at 2933 Bell Plain. I think everybody understands what happened here, so we issued them a citation for work without a permit. And they said they're gonna go to the BZA, but that doesn't matter to us. And I'm just explaining to you what we explained to them. It doesn't matter if you're gonna go to the BZA, you started work without a permit. So it's still there.
Okay.
There's no shed.
Okay.
Joe, yeah. Larry, can I make a comment?
Yeah,
Okay, I've looked at this before, and, Carter, I think we've agreed, but I just wanted to be clear that there's three issues
Which are just our normal issues.
One is the 20 foot setback in back. The other is the 15 setback back on the side. And the other one is the 1%, side of the platform. And they have to do a 10 by 10. Now, Carter, maybe, do you remember that? Is that what we're asking them to do right now?
I thought it was kind of, it's not.
So they're,
Oh, it is 10.
right, they're,
Thank you. 10 and 20. Oh, 10 by 10. Is what they did was they already started the process. 10 by 12. So I don't know. You could always think of it as
Okay. But right now, as we sit, they gotta pay their fine, and also they have to abide by these three issues besides all of our issues.
right, we wouldn't, that's why we needed a corrected application. And so they had two problems. They submitted an application which didn't meet our zone. So we sent to the Carter, said, you can't put a shed in here that's 10 by 12 because you'd be according to the zone. So at first they said, okay, we're gonna do that, but then they had their contractor who was gonna put the shed up, put stone down, so then they were issued a citation for working without a permit. And then they have since told Carter, well, we're gonna go to the BZA. That's fine and good, that doesn't negate what the problems that they created in our. And whenever they come back to us, before they can do anything else, they're gonna have to pay their fine as well as provide a proper, permit.
Who's the contractor in this?
We don't even know.
I think he's doing it himself.
It's one of those. You know, I'm not sure if it's one of Michigan's city. I'm sorry, it's one of those shed builders.
Yeah.
That's all we do is sheds. So we're like something to just drop on a shed.
Right.
That's what I do.
So, well, then I don't know,
Take it all the
I'd
way.
have to look at the permit, because I thought on the permit, it says sell is doing the work, but I could do.
Okay, so here, I didn't get into weeds on this stuff, but we get into weeds. When we issue a citation to the contractor, we issue one to the homeowner. And the contractor is Lombard, and somebody builds sheds from, I don't know, New Buffalo, and they don't pay. What happens? Who's responsible for that extra $500 or that extra something?
Well, it's just walked away. What happens is and I explained that, right, it goes to their fine, yeah, it goes to their fine,
Nothing.
right.
Nothing. So. Not in this meeting, but some meeting we have to consider, who's gonna pay that $500? And should we develop sort of a contract scorecard? It says, hey, you 2 strikes or 3 strikes and you're out. Your registration is revoked. I mean, this is stupid. We got a sign when you come into the town that says contractor is registered. And that, I'm sure it's what you register, maybe they are, but they know the rules.
And there's actually support for that. There's actually support for that in the Indiana code that if contractors and the enforcement provisions there, that if a contractor in a calendar year has something 3, that their permit or their registration can be revoked for up to a year. So that's a default rule, for instance, that's in line with what you're saying.
So here we've got 2 violations. The contractor wasn't registered, and then they started work without.
Okay,
The only problem I had is I wasn't there. Contractor was there. Keeping the stones going.
can I bring the issue up, hold on, just for a second, Pete?
Well, I maybe this is one of those that falls between the cracks. But in general, there's two violations.
But let me just, hold on, just right there, he's wanting to be clear that he did not put down that there was a contractor. And they put down that he was doing the work. If you look at his permit, that's what's on his permit. He's gonna have he has a contract at least according to his permit, he has a contract for somebody by the name of True Point Backyards, who I've never heard of. And says they're gonna be dropping the shed in his yard. And he further states that the shed will be placed on a gravel base provided by us. So they put the base down, which is why they got cited for working without a permit, because they put the stone base down. Whether they're blaming it on the contractor or not, I don't know. Carter went to the house, talked to the owners, but he has not found True Point, and I have not looked it up personally. So here's the bad thing about this. This is a prime example, or a perfect example of what we've all talked about that have been on this commission for some period of time. We are, and it's, a lot of it is just my own situation when I talk to people. You try to give people the benefit of the doubt, and we get taken advantage of. These people have no intention of doing what's correct. They had the stone placed and did more work on the stone after Carter was there and issued a citation. And then they said, hey, okay, we're not gonna do a 10 by 10 shed. We're gonna go to the BZA. So I guess this particular instance is another case where somebody thinks they can do whatever they want. And we found out about it because the neighbor who was renting the house from somebody called, I think, Honor. Didn't they call you, Honor, and say that somebody's building a shed? And I think they're on our property. That's what prompted this. So, yes, I do agree. They should be cited, and they were cited. And the True Point, the shed people aren't involved at this point in time. It's just the owner. So I don't know if we could issue a second citation to the owner as the contractor who placed the base.
Because, I do have the copy now, and there is no name of any contractor on here, so
Right.
I don't know where you got that name from.
It's right on the, here, I'll put it up on the screen here. It says right on the bottom here, it says right on the bottom where it says description of work, they say True Point Backyards will be dropping a shed.
But all they're doing is dropping off a shed, and they're not signing, what I get this all the time. They didn't sign anything, and I don't know, Chris, if there's any kind of litigation in there. What are they involved with? The owner put in a permit, said he was doing it himself. And then some people dropped off this for him, but they
No, they didn't drop it off yet.
well, I'm just saying, that's all it says here. And so how do we get them to be committed that they were supposed to be there?
That long.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Right, the citation for the word. Wait, right, so, hold on a second.
They were, it was the weekend, Mark called.
It was the home.
This, well,
Yeah.
Okay, so if I can read the video here. There were 3 violations and 2 parties involved. I don't know if it was True Point or not Point or not Point, but there was no registration for the one who put the stone down.
It was the homeowner, they could do the work
The
themselves.
homeowner actually put the stone,
That's what it says on their permit.
so that, and then the shed was gonna come in and just drop.
He said it, right?
So then there's 2 violations, right? Then there's just, he did work without a permit, and then he violated stop law. After Carter went there and told him not to continue, and they said it was BTA, they continued to do some work on the shed, right?
On the base, yes.
On the base. So we got 1 homeowner, 2 violations. The guy who drops the shed, he doesn't mind.
Right, he's just a material supplier. Right. Okay, so, I'll send them, I don't know, I'll ask for their email and I'll send them an email and explain that, what we just talked about. And tell them that they can't go any further, that they have to pay their citations and that,
Regardless of what the BZA,
whether the BZA says they're gonna do anything or not. How about that?
that sounds right to me.
Okay,
Last comment,
yeah,
and what we said earlier, if he's gonna do it himself, he's gonna resubmit us, and not that he has to pay for it, but he's gotta resubmit a permit that says it correct.
all right, I'll tell them then. Or maybe I'll have Karen. Okay, pardon me. Next up is, 2938 Mount Clair Way. Everybody have that, they could pull it up here if you want.
Did we ever get to the complete cycle?
It's actually on their, Bob, and their stuff, it's highlighted in that site or that survey that they sent. See if I got the right stuff. That's the drawing of what they want to do.
Can I ask you a question as we're going along there?
Sure.
Just a general question. When we talk about pervious, and I apologize, my pronunciation is probably my friend. Pervious and impervious surfaces. I look at that and I say, why even tell me? Because both apply to 35. Am I wrong?
No, that's correct. I think there is a general understanding in architectural circles that communities have different rules or acceptance of what coverage permeable pavers count for. The town of Long Beach does not. We count permeable pavers as any other coverage. And when somebody tries to, the particular people that, if you're talking about the 2207, which is, they mentioned on that drawing, the permeable pavers, their permeable pavers is included in their coverage. So I didn't, and just myself, I didn't call them and say, hey, the permeable pavers don't mean anything. But,
I'm talking about what you have up on the screen right now.
oh,
And they have the words of their impervious surfaces. So what is that? That doesn't tell me anything.
I agree with Bill, it makes it seem like maybe there is some. Services that you're not included.
okay, I guess, that's correct. This has impervious surfaces, but they're listing every surface on the property. So, and I understand you guys don't know that or haven't seen it. I guess this should just say, coverage instead of impervious surfaces. We don't accept permeable pavers, and that's gonna come up when we're talking about 2226 here in a little bit. But we make sure that we tell architects, owners, and whatever, this particular schedule of coverage here is everything on the property. And the reason I know that is because I went there and looked at it.
Can I say something?
Yeah,
But my issue is, and again, more Chris, that's fine. And I agree with everything you said and what you did, and we appreciate it. But the only thing is, I'm not crazy about having a document that says something that's not clear. And then all of a sudden, they could turn it on and bang us because they're calling a certain way. They're set as impervious surface.
okay, so so are you asking me to call them and tell them to change that so that it just says lot coverage? I will do that if that's what you want.
Or alternatively, to not just being mindful, obviously, you're the decision makers, so that their project potentially isn't held up if there's a fix that makes sense without making the stretches that turn around. So does making the clarification, because remember, you're always allowed to put conditions, you're always allowed, they worded a certain way so that if it gets approved and you clarify that you're only approving this, that may allow them the opportunity to clarify with Larry. So that's, yeah, that part, if it fixes what you're saying, is we're only approving this and making sure you go that next step, I think that that's completely fine.
And what's good, Larry's very good about it, is when he does see something like that or discuss it, he does send out an email, and I try to catch those emails and put it in the folder.
I'm trying to find the site plan for this.
It looks like we got it on July 15th, Larry, is that,
Here it is, right here.
there it is.
So this shows the property. These are the, when you see these things here, these are the coverages they listed on their sheet. And I will tell them that we want them to resubmit the sheet with lot coverage on instead of impervious. And what they're doing is they're connecting these two sides of the house with a bump out here, according to the drawings that they also included in here. So what do we want to do here? Right, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna tell them that you have to change that to lot coverage instead of impervious.
I make a motion, that once they've done that, and Larry approves the changes they've made, and Larry can approve the permit.
I'll second.
Okay, motion by Bob, second by Joy. Any further discussion? All those in favor, aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Okay. Next is 2101 Lakeshore Drive. You know what, before we do this, there's two people here, maybe why don't we just, I'm sorry, I should have done it right at the end of new business, old business. Gary, you were here first. So Gary's got what's the address?
2003 Idaho Trail.
2003 Idlewood Trail. There was a permit, Gary renovated a house there. It's at Idlewood and, what's the? Netherclick. It's a corner lot. The existing foundation was left. They did have to repair some of it. So, it was brought to our attention. I don't know who Hunter probably knows that there was an issue with the steps. The steps on the original drawings, I could bring them up. I don't know that it's necessary if you guys, it's easier to see on the screen, Gary. I don't have the current. You did, what's the address here?
2003 Idaho Trail.
Can you give it, I'm sorry, can you give me the history? When did we receive a permit application? And
Over a year ago.
And we're at the end of the job. So this would have been, within spring. This home, so we did demolition that, so we're just like bulk for, inspection.
And I'm sorry, what's our issue?
So, yeah, let me just kind of lay the land here. So, I met with Gary and the architect, before they started work. We went over the whole thing. It's a corner lot. There were some encroachments on the lot. And there was a set of stairs that was encroaching into the side setback because it's a 30-foot setback on the idle, never cliff side. And the stairs that were there were removed and replaced. They were existing stairs that were going to be put on the side of the house and reinstalled there when the job was finished. So, the stairs, the job's pretty much finished, except for maybe landscaping. And, the building commission approved the permit. And the work was being done and the stairs were installed, not right next to the house. They're installed, everybody got the email yesterday. I think I sent her the last 2 days. So, Gary wanted, so 2 things.
Sure. It's why I'm saying, it's where I'm saying.
There's 2 things here. The stairs as to whether or not we can approve them, number 1. Number 2, Gary is asking if we would consider issuing a temporary certificate of occupancy so that the owners can close out their loan. And with the exception of, they would not get a permanent certificate of occupancy until, the stairs are, the situation with the stairs is worked out. The problem with the stairs is, Carter sent me a picture. Let me see if I can, did you email it?
Oh, what, that's a good looking guy.
Okay. So the stairs on the drawings, which, Gary passed out a drawing. These are what the stairs look like now on the drawing, the landscape drawing. And on the original drawings, which I can probably find here, it might take. Yeah, so, and maybe Gary, if you could just, you don't have a lot of copies, just show them what they were. Oh, sure, guys. Okay, that's sure. Yeah, I could. Let me just finish first, and then you can go. So everybody sees in front of you, see the stairs that are on it would be the bottom of the page, on the drawing. So those stairs were along, they're encroaching into the setback, but they were existing stairs on the house that they were just going to redo. So what happened is, and so Honor let me know that somebody called, said that there was a complaint about the stairs. I don't know if it was a garbage man or the neighbor or whatever. So I went by and looked, part went by. So these are the stairs that were installed. And as I had sent to Gary and sent to you guys in the email, the issue with the stairs here is, that they are at the street. And that bottom step, actually, where the curb is, see down at the driveway, is a problem for the plows. That's a pretty, I don't know if ever any of you, and it probably doesn't make sense, but if you've ever driven a plow and you hit something that's immovable, it's bad. So that's a danger issue. The other issue is as to whether or not the stairs could be there. So that was the issue that came to us, and that's when I got hold of Gary. So Gary is asking 2 things today, I think. Only one thing today is he's asking for, he wants to explain why the stairs were done that way. And then he wants to ask for a temporary occupancy certificate. We can't issue a certificate of occupancy when there is something that is done that is outside of the ordinances. It's just not, that's actually what a certificate of occupancy says, that we certify that this project meets all of the town ordinances. So Gary's asking if we can issue a temporary certificate, which we could ask Chris, we're allowed to do that. Okay, Gary, or wait, I should first ask these, do you guys want to say anything before Gary talks?
So basically, this was not built according to the plan that they submitted, is that right?
Correct.
Right,
So they didn't have a permit to do what they did.
yes, that's correct.
Isn't that what we're talking about before in terms of, the word of tickets or whatever? I mean, when you submit a plan, the contractor and the owner need to make sure that they build what they said. If they don't, that's a violation, right?
And that's why,
Right.
clearly, this is all me, my mistake.
Okay, Gary, hey, Gary, you gotta come up here because it's recorded. Then just push that button so that your mic's on. There you go.
I'm so sorry. It's clearly my mistake. And I can explain how I made the mistake or why I made the mistake. As you can see from that picture, the grade at the house, in the original plans, the garage elevation was higher. And the plans that were submitted lower the garage. We did not anticipate the difference between the new, drive elevation and the existing steps going up. So in order to, create a less steep slope, it was my decision, and it's on me, rather than putting the stairs where they were at on the plan, I moved them out so that it could be, more even with the drive elevation. I didn't even count it. I should have reached out to the board, so I apologize. I certainly don't want to waste your time. And my goal, I build a number of homes in the community, really do my best to try to make sure that we're doing everything the way it's supposed to be done, not creating problems for the board. I'm here today to say, how can I resolve this to the board's satisfaction? And in the meantime, while I do this, the home has been inspected, it's habitable. I would ask, so that the clients can close their loan and move into the home, that you issue me a temporary and give me a final when we get this resolved. I'll basically do whatever, your recommendation would be. Unfortunately, with the grade there, I cannot put the stairs where they were originally because the grade is too steep. Retaining wall along the edge is too high, something that in construction, occasionally the plans don't work the way that the site, mandates. So, if you said, obviously the stairs can't stay, we'll take them out, but I can't put the stairs in the way they were on the plan, just too steep. So that's serious.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes, sir.
Just first of all, on the new document that you sent us, I think I'm reading it right.
That was the original permit.
And it's 9 point whatever. Is that right there? The building is right there, and that's the setback, so is that a 10-foot setback on that side?
No,
Unfortunately,
no, that setback, this by ordinance, sorry, Gar. I didn't mean to just grab that. By ordinance, there's a 30-foot setback on Ironwood Trail. And there's a 30-foot setback on Nethercliff.
Okay.
But the house was existing, where you see that the foundation on this drawing, that's the existing house, and that footprint is the same. The stairs that are on this drawing, where you see black and then you see red, those were existing stairs. The plan originally was to redo those stairs or put new stairs in that same place. And the reason they were able to do that is because it was a remove and replace. The house itself is encroaching into the setback. You could see the property line there where it says 109.88. Because it's a corner lot from Nethercliff Way, the house would have to be 30 feet from it.
So can I ask?
Yeah.
So looking at this diagram, are you asking to put the stairs in that exact same spot?
I can tell you the reason that I didn't put them in that exact same spot is with the adjustment of the drive elevation, it was too steep. And my mistake, I should have called Larry Carter and said, hey, I have an issue with the way the plans were drawn. It just physically doesn't work. I put them in. Normally you have a number of things that cross over the right of way to the house. And again, my goal today is to do whatever the board wishes, that I can resolve this to your satisfaction.
So my question would be, what are you suggesting that where those stairs would go?
If they can't go in that current location, I'm gonna have to tear them out and not put stairs in. Because the grade difference that, if you look at it, I don't know if you saw that picture, and I'm gonna point to the step of the retaining wall is too high to basically step off the driveway up and go up a set of stairs because of that difference in that elevation.
Well, there's what you have existing now, so let's do the two evils. Being that the original stairs were too steep.
Yeah, that's really the issue. And again, I understand the concern about it being too close to the roadway. And if you said, hey, if you can cut this back, I will do. But if you also said, tear them out, I tear them out. My goal is that I don't want to have any problems with the board. I try to do everything as best I can. But, two things, I don't want to upset the board, but I also don't want to hold up my clients. They've been overly patient with me, and certainly all the neighbors around me, they are going to be happy to see me gone. It's so tight to say.
If I could, so looking at your diagram, you got the white and say the gray. Is the gray the street? That is the street?
Right here, we had to fill in a portion and then we get back here.
Okay, so how far? Where's actually the property line? Way back where the gray ends? I'm sorry.
This is property right here. So from here, down, that's the property. So this is the right way. That's.
You can't take this out and spread it because of the elevation.
It's to hand on grade omissions that are to this two line, but then with Larry had mentioned, it's how bulldozer. I think it's easily, you get that elevation, like you cut this back to the, and there's a house on street with low.
My apologies.
It's not your college, it's not being recorded, so.
Joe, let me step back and explain to you again. The curb goes all the way out to the road, and the edge of the stair does get very close to that edge of that road. If you notice, the grade elevation at the road is fairly steep. It doesn't show very well here, but the concern is to make sure that we were kicking the water out. Our garage is actually lower by far than the road. And the worst thing that I could have is that water coming down the road and going into the garage. So,
So the stairs that are on here, which are straight.
yes.
Is that what you're proposing to put in?
No, I won't be able to put those in. Had I been able to do that with the grade elevation there, between the step, I would have done it, but that's,
Okay, so how would people get to the garage?
they'd have to walk down the road.
I'm sorry.
They would have to walk down the road. I mean, there would be no way for them to get to the front of the house on a hard surface.
And there were no stairs there before?
There were stairs that were there before, but what had happened, the stairs were very steep and the driveway elevation was higher. The old home, which I don't know if you ever recall, they had a concrete structure over top of the garage at the same elevation. You actually step down from the garage. So the garage floor elevation lowered because in Larry's plans, he had a door entering into the lower level at drive level. So the drive level had to go down. Consequently, the elevation, that first step from the drive in the previous location was too big a step, too steep a. So,
So, I'm sorry, So are we saying, that there's only two solutions?
I, at this point in time,
One, leave it there, and two, take it out? Is that the alternatives?
well, the other option would be to, cut the edge of the lowest step back on a diagonal so that it doesn't pose an issue. Larry, across the street, there's a house that has curbing that does a very similar situation. They're up and down the road.
Yeah, that's my
Because-
sister's house.
I'll tell you what, she's a saint for putting up with me the whole time. So, part of that, the reason that there's stuff along there is to keep that water going straight down rather than rolling back into the, I'm here.
Yeah, I think the best thing I'll do maybe today would be, and Gary, actually, that it exacerbates the problem. And that's what happens in a lot of properties out here. There's existing, issues, and then something like this. So now you have two curves that are too close. That's really a nightmare for the plow guys. But I think the best thing to do here would be the board or the commissioner, whatever we call ourselves, decide on a temporary occupancy permit. And then Carter and I and Gary get together and try to come up with a solution for the stairs. And then we can come back to you guys with that. If that's acceptable to you guys.
Motion for a temporary,
How temporary would that be? Because, once they issue the certificate of occupancy, our leverage is gone until that temporary.
It's not, it really is not.
I think the temporary, I think there's a time, I'm not sure, Chris, do you know?
What a time, I think it's.
Okay,
I mean, my goal, Pete, would be to, or it's Pete, right? So I'm sorry. My goal is to get that resolution, because as much as you guys don't want to put issues, I would like to resolve my client and, basically not be in the sport anymore.
Well, and so they can't put it back alongside the house. That's what I'm hearing. Then the only option would be to be some distance away from the house, not as far as it is now. And that actually increases the encroachment, so we can't even prove that.
right.
That would be a PCA thing if they're going.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that the stairs are necessary. I mean, I would guess my clients would like to have stairs there, but the stairs in the previous location,
Did you say there were no stairs, Gary?
there were stairs at the board. What I'm saying is, if we can't have a solution that's workable for the board, there's nothing that says we have to have stairs there.
Well, if I, maybe,
Stairs,
They
they
were
were on the side.
on the side of the house.
right, just as they're here.
Yeah, and they were very unstable, they were extremely steep, and the drive was actually higher than it is now.
Man, I understand it, but what, what prevents you from putting stairs in where they were before? It existed, they're there. If this deep,
The grade elevations changed at the drive, and the previous steps were too steep. To me, it's a safety issue.
So let me kind of try to clarify this. I'm sorry I had to leave, but that was one of the 11 doctors that I had called me. And Gary, this is for you as well as for everybody here. We, as the building commission, cannot approve stairs that are not
safe.
no, well, yes, that's true, but we also cannot approve construction that is not in keeping with our ordinances. These stairs don't meet our ordinances. So even if everybody on the board said, hey, we feel bad, we think you can go ahead and do these stairs, we can't allow them. That has to go to the BZA. So, if Gary and Carter and I can meet and we can figure out how to get the stairs back along the side and do something like that, that may be an option. But the building commission cannot approve construction outside of the ordinances. So that really is off the table. Really what is still left here is to whether or not we want to, or the board wants to issue a temporary certificate. And I'm going to give you.
Yeah, it's up to 90 days.
Okay, if you want, I'm going to give you that right here.
But the other question I'd have is, what are we gonna tell the fellow on Chastleton who got two violations for building something that wasn't on his plan. And yet here we're saying, he came, he's remorseful, we're not gonna do that. That doesn't seem right.
Okay, well, that's a point.
And I mean, I would be happy to pay if if you think it's fair. My clients have absolutely no guilt, responsibility. It's on me solely.
Or in the citation.
Okay. Did somebody make a motion for a temporary certificate?
Yes.
Okay, that's up on the board. As Chris said, it's, you can see the highlighted sections.
Anybody second?
Okay,
It's up to what, 90 days?
I'll say. Joe seconded.
So 90 days, that gets us to, this will go September, October, November, when do we expect snow to fly? Maybe 90 days is that long?
I really don't want to. I want to be done with this. I want to come to a resolution, meets the board's recommendation to be done.
I would suggest 60 days if we want to be safe with the snow plows.
The only potential issue that you have is if they have to go for
Right.
variance, that's at least a 2-month process, right? So they'd have to come back and there is provision that they can renew, and maybe that's what you want to do is see if they're making progress. But, because they're allowed to ask for one additional 90-day period up to, so you could say 60, but if they end up having to get a variance, that's at least 2 months, because there's a preliminary, and that's assuming they have everything in the order, and then it goes smoothly, that it's a 2-month process. So just keep that mindful, and, you know, that deadline. Well, BZA meets next Wednesday, so they're gonna be further out.
Can I ask a question? Are the stairs a mandatory part of this project?
That's up to you, between you and the owner.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
so,
want to take some,
so if I take them out, this resolves the board's issue.
that and the curb, I think, yeah.
Well, the curb, I would prefer to cut the curb back. I still need that curb to retain the grade there.
Yeah.
The slope is so severe, and I understand the concern about it's not very logical. So, again, Larry, you know, I'd be able to meet with you outside.
I think the most expeditious thing to do here is if the board wants to issue a temporary certificate, if it's 60 days or 90 days, either way. And then, Gary and I and Carter get together and we figure out, can the stairs be put back towards the house? If they can, it would pass muster here. If they cannot, then it's an issue of taking the stairs out, which would be, this group would be fine with, well, it should be fine with, or they'd have to go to the PCA. We can't approve the stairs. Make sense?
Amend the motion to 60 days. Temporary occupancy permit.
Joe, is that okay with you? That's fine. Okay, any other discussion? All those in favor, aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign.
And then did we vote as far as the citation?
I guess you, if that's next, then we'll do that. Somebody, you would have.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, Pete. Second, is that Bob?
Yeah.
Any discussion?
I'm sorry, what's the motion?
Citation for building without a permit. Building not according to your permit plans.
Any other discussion?
Question on that is, it's easy to say, we'll give a citation. What would be the game of the citation? Is that starting with the first thing that happened?
Sorry, say what?
How are we going to determine what the citation is actually? You could say, what did we start? He did something that wasn't part of the plan. Okay, now, how long does citation exist? And how many days does he have to pay for it? Is it one-time shot?
Yeah,
What do you guys thinking?
Yeah, this would be a one-time deal.
One-time,
Yeah,
a one-time fine,
yeah,
and
yeah, that's it.
there's no time on it that says it has to be corrected or anything.
Well, we've already got a certificate.
That will be the
60 deals, it's not done, 60 days.
So what we're saying is, and I'm just asking for specifics, I'll throw it out. Are we saying that the fine then would be a $500 fine, or are we talking about something else?
500. That's what the ordinance was.
Right, that's the fine for the citation is 500. What Bob is saying, his motion is to issue a citation for a single, not a progressive fine.
Okay, there. One more, Larry. So,
Yeah, go ahead.
because what I think we've done, we do is it's a double whammy, because we're saying that the owner also gets citations. What I know, just saying, just trying to get things clear. That we do say that the owner and the contractor get the citation. Am I correct or not? Correct me.
Okay, Bob, is your motion to cite the owner and the contractor, or just the contractor?
Yeah, so I think our rule states that, it's $500 owner and the, contractor, if they begin to work without a permit. There was a permit here that was given. This was an as-built situation, so I opinion it's the contractor.
Okay, so your motion is to cite just the contractor?
Yes.
Okay, Bob, is that okay with you?
I'm okay with that.
Any other discussion? All those in favor, aye? Aye. Opposed, same sign. Okay, Gary, let's see what I get together, please.
We said that, I mean, I would just assume set a time to do that.
Let's get it together after the meeting. Okay,
Very good. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time. Apologize.
thank you. Okay.
Today.
Pardon me?
Well,
20, okay. Sorry. 2101 Lakeshore Drive. We have a new permit for a new house. It's an existing house that is, to be torn down. Everybody should have the plans. I had a question that I proposed to Chris, and we don't have really definitive answer in the ordinance, at least that I could see, and I don't know that Chris could see. So the site, I went through the drawings, and I'm sure you got the drawings meet our height restriction and lot coverage. I don't recall the lot coverage. I think I have to look it up. It was one of the best things. The question that I had asked Chris to be clarified on is, it's a corner lot. It's at the corner, maybe I'll put these up on me. It's a corner lot, which is Lakeshore Drive in Annandale. So there's a setback on both because it's a corner lot. And that's the permit. So the question is, what is the setback on Avondale? Because the property is a Lakeshore Drive address, which is in keeping with our
Is the house to be facing Avondale or Lakeshore Drive?
it's gonna be facing Avondale.
And isn't that the front of the house according to the definition we were talking about?
No, actually, the definition says it's on a corner lot, it's the shortest.
That's, well, however, 154-105 says on corner lots, the front yard setback meeting the minimum requirements of the zoning district in which located are required on each street.
Let me see, and maybe I'm wrong, but I'm just thinking about it. Doesn't the first one trump everything? It's a corner lot, number one. That can't be changed. It can't be disputed.
Right.
And if it's a corner lot, you got 30-30. It's that simple. I don't see where there's a hole in that.
Well, it's a Lakeshore Drive property, so you're addressing Lakeshore Drive, and the current house is the same thing. The business end or the front of the house, I suppose you could call that whatever you wanted, but you walk in the front door from Avenue. But the way the lot is, and according to what our zoning says, and I think that's probably what Chris is looking up on I'm not even gonna say, I'll wait till Chris finds it. But I'm,
That's 105. That's what I would just refer to as 154, 105.
And could you read that again?
In, on through and corner lots, a front yard setback meeting the minimum requirements of the zoning district in which the zoning lot is located are required on each street, place, or quarterly frontage.
And does the existing house meet that, would set that?
no,
The front, yes, the front to Lakeshore Drive.
Relations, obviously,
Side is not there.
but you're carrying it all down.
You want to come to the, like,
okay, here, well, before we ask, but I just want to make sure we just don't go on and on here. Here's the plan of what they want to do, the site plan. So Lakeshore Drive, see where the new septic system is, where my arrow is here? That's Lakeshore Drive. The existing house, when you're standing in the house and you're looking out, when you get to go into the existing house, you park on Avondale, you walk in on Avondale. Their proposal is the same to their garage, you can see here is on Avondale. And walking into the house is on Avondale. So the front door is on Avondale.
we have two doors. And we have two front doors.
Okay, I'm trying to be respectful, but it's usually easier to try to handle this because sometimes you might say something that, okay, are not X. So the question is, this is a corner lot. Because it's the Lakeshore Drive front or the shortest section, according to our ordinance, that is the front lot. So that means that the front setback is 15 feet. So because it's a corner lot, there's also the same setback on the corner street or the Avondale side. So the question is that I can't find in our ordinance, does that have to be 15 feet because the front setback is 15 feet? Or does that have to be 30 feet because it's Avondale instead of Lakeshore Drive? That's the question. Everything else meets our building requirements, our ordinance. So by ordinance, the front of the house is Lakeshore Drive. By ordinance, there has to be a setback. And Chris and I can't find anything that says this has to be 15 or it has not. The existing house is setback. I don't know. We don't have a drawing for the existing house. So I don't know if it meets 15-foot setback or if it meets a 30-foot setback. I know from just living here forever, knowing people that own the house 2 or 3 owners ago, that's how the house works.
So Larry is saying that the Lakeshore Drive setback is 30 feet.
No, the Lakeshore Drive setback is 15 feet.
58 feet to south.
Yeah, 15.
Okay. And Avondale is 50.
No, that's what we can't.
It's 30.
It's 30.
No, Avondale is 30, right?
Right, so the setback for a house on Avondale is 30 feet, all 30 feet there. But this is the corner lot that fronts on Lakeshore Drive. There's nothing in our ordinance that says on Lakeshore Drive, if it's a corner lot, it's 15 feet on Lakeshore Drive and 15 feet on Avondale. So that's the conservation that I had and that Chris and I were trying to figure out.
Well, I think the closest you get is 154, 105, which says it has to meet the setbacks for both streets. There isn't anything that says it's 30 and 30. That's just generally been what our
Sweet.
Unless I'm wrong, like I said, I've just started looking at this during this meeting, but generally that's been your experience. This really hasn't happened. It may happen more in the future as people buy, build new, right? Tear down some of the older places that are there. So as it stands right now, it looks like you have to comply with the requirements of both, and that may or may not be something that they can, I don't know, because I haven't looked at the plan, but that's the closest you come. There isn't anything that,
There's enough room, I mean, there's already 40 feet now.
On the
well, that's.
right, it's 30 something, it's 30, not quite 40, but it says 40.2, but that's to the house, and it's a patio lot. So they're well beyond that. So the issue is just as Chris said. And, I don't know what, no, they would have to get a variance to comply with it. I mean, I don't see how the house that is proposed right now, it could not be built. Is that?
No, my question is there an ability, is there an 80 feet? And I'm not here to advocate for, that's what I'm saying, is the lot and sit, are they capable of building the house?
At 15 and 15, yes.
So is the needs at one, but getting back to your spot, you have clear mandates, right? And so it may be that the variance is what they have to do, which again, I'm not the decision makers there in terms of as proposed, you don't have to determine. They have to comply with both, they're the completely workable product.
Okay.
What's subdivisions?
Let me see if it's on here.
I'm gonna check and make sure that.
It's not that I don't want you to talk, I want you to say something and then if these guys use it on you.
No, Larry? Larry,
Yeah,
is it possible? I can't get on the internet. I'm thinking of that one section at the end where it has all the pictures.
yeah,
And it talks about a corner lot.
right.
And I don't see where, and I could be wrong, where there's an exemption for the corner lot 30/30. I don't know if what overrides what. Does it, because it's a corner lot, is it 30/30 no matter where it's at? Or because it's on Lakeshore Drive, is Lakeshore Drive side 15 and the other side 30? Or are both 15? And that's what we're talking about. And I don't know, and I can't bring it up. I think this is an important thing, and maybe, but again, you hate to put it off, but this has been, a while, and I don't know if you need it done immediately. But, I'm just concerned that we have to really evaluate this one correctly.
Yes.
There's any diagram.
Sure.
There's a diagram that describes
A corner lot.
what a corner lot is. It's just a picture of it.
Yeah, but it shows, and I think if it's the right one,
I'll bring it up.
As I see it, there's two choices. One would be to go to BZA for a variance. And the second one would be to design a new house that's gonna fit on the lot. Yeah, well, I know, but.
Right.
I think right now, the BZA is gonna say, is there a way to do this and fit on the lot? And if there is, they're not gonna grant the variance. That'd be my guess. I sit on the BZA, so I know how they think. And if
Even though the existing house sits not 30 feet off the street.
Right, because what happens is when you tear the house down, now you have a vacant lot, and if you tear the house down. If you were gonna rehab the house, you could rehab it in the confines of what you had. When you tear the house down, now you have to abide by current regulations.
Because you're creating a clean, and not to give you legal advice, but the non-conforming ordinances under zoning say that you can repair, maintain, you can't increase. So you can't increase non-conformances so that you could build in the same spot that you want. But once you clear it out, and the good part is you haven't done that yet, so you haven't, but you start with a clean canvas essentially. So then the argument becomes, and I'm not a decision maker for the BZA either, but there's a thought that it becomes a want versus a need, and what's peculiar to your property makes a difference. Once you have a clean canvas, there's a thought that you should, but for a variance, then you have to establish, convince the BZA that you should be able to build this plan. But there's a thought also that you create a clean canvas so that you can actually have 15-foot setbacks where you're required, and you can have 30 foot. I'm not saying you can or cannot, I'm just trying to explain that.
So
And the BZA building zoning
it's the Board of Zoning Appeals. So we,
of Long Beach?
yes, no, Long Beach. So we are the building commission. We can only issue permits for things that are done according to the ordinances. So, and the problem is, you're the first. I've lived here for 60 years, and I've been doing this for, I don't know, 8 or 10. And I've been in the building business for 50. And this is the first time in our town that this has come up. And unfortunately, when that's happened before, when I've been involved, it makes it hard for us. It makes it hard for you, but we're trying to do the right thing.
Sure.
And I know what you guys want to do. And I was looking, or we were looking to find a way so that we could just say to you, yes, you could do this. But I don't, from what we've all seen here, I don't think we could do that. I'm more than willing to sit with you guys, and explain to you and show you the actual ordinances that you have to abide by. And then that's what Bob was talking about. Then you would make a petition to the BZA and say, hey, I'm not going to tell you what to say, but you would say, hey, this is our house. This is what's here. And as Chris said, well, I want and need. So, there's a question if this is a want or it's a need. Your existing house looks pretty much like this footprint. So that's what you're trying to do. And I just don't, we're trying to find a way to help you out, and I don't know that we found it yet.
Well, there are two things, just the questions in my head. One, we put this proposal in, I don't know, 6-8 months, whatever, and got an approval. So then we actually, the only thing we had to do was lower the thing in the program, and none of this was part of the conversation, just saying.
Right. And the reason being is that at the time, when you guys brought it to us, we said, here's what you have to meet, which was a corner lot thing, and you did it. But the problem is, because this is the first time, we are, I don't know, we just don't want to make a mistake. And I mean, unless somebody wants to make a motion to approve it as it's presented, those are the two options to us, either to suggest, either deny the permit and say, then we'll send you an email or letter that says your permit was denied based on what Chris just read. And then with the suggestion, or we always put in there, you have the option to go to the BCA.
Joe, do you look this diagram up?
I'm looking for it.
Well, it's up on the
It's up on the screen.
So he can go through for you.
So here's
Anything that shows the 30-30. I think that's just been our experience.
right. So nobody has come to us yet on a corner lot on Lake Shore Drive to try to build something new.
Yeah.
Hopefully built on 22. That was before my time.
Yeah, I think we're saying most of the experiences where there's a corner lot and compliance with that have been the most recent, they tore down first and then that's for forgiveness, right?
Right. That house, Joe, was built. And it was not in compliance.
Yeah, I think these are illustrative, but I don't see anything other than 154, 105 that says you have to comply with both streets.
You do not see that.
I didn't see that you have to comply with 30 and 50.
That's what we were looking out for. We were looking for something.
It says 30 and 15, not 30.
We were trying to see how we could
Or
we could advise the board to say, this meets our ordinances. And we can't, there's nothing that we can find.
Can I ask one other question? If we made, because we do have really two, we have a porch on the front. If that is considered our front door, and the side porch we come down to being another entrance, is that help to consider that 30 in the left, or, you know, 15 on the side?
No, because it's still the same situation. You still have, here, let me go to it. So the clarification for what is the front, we just had it, so we had to plow through it. It took us a month or longer to figure out exactly. So Chris found the thing that they're in our zone that says on a corner lot, the shortest lot dimension.
let's get it right.
Peter, I'm sorry, Pete found.
Thanks.
The shortest dimension is considered the front. So that took, where is your door out of our, so then we figured that out. So the shortest option for you is Lakeshore Drive. So your house is front of Lakeshore Drive. That's the front of your house, the front lot. So that front lot, we know is 15 feet on Lakeshore Drive according to ordinance. But because you're on a corner lot, there's two setbacks. And we were trying to see if we could see that the setback for the Avondale side would be 15 because the front is 15. That's not written in there. And my experience here is this, you're the first one that I've had to deal with. So we were trying to find something so that we could sit here and I could advise the people on the board. This is what our ordinance is saying. This is what you can do. We can't find that. So for us, that basically means we can't say yes. So the only people that can say yes is the BZA. So what Bob was suggesting is that you go to the BZA, that we deny the permit based on, and I'll give you the exact ordinance numbers. And then you go to the BZA. And I think that's good. I mean, unless somebody can propose a motion right now that says, I propose a motion to approve the application as presented.
Can I?
Sure. Yeah, you just have to say your name. That's fine. You just turned it on, turned it.
Jeff Brenner, 2101 Lakeshore Drive. Sorry, I just flew in from the West Coast. Made it just in time. When we first were designing the house, we looked at all the ordinances. And, the drawings were in there. I'm not sure that one, but it defined corner lot. And it said if your house is on Lakeshore Drive, then you use figure B or whatever. It didn't say the address or the front of the house. It just says if it's on Lakeshore Drive.
Right. But when you, in the ordinance, I don't know if I could find it, in the ordinance, on a corner lot, it says the shortest distance is your front lot, whether your door's there, whether you don't even have doors. So your lot, the front of your lot is on Lakeshore Drive by ordinance. It's also by address, but we found that that doesn't make any difference anymore. So even though your lot is Lakeshore Drive, because you're a corner lot, which I don't know why this keeps coming on there, because you're a corner lot. So if you look at that second section there, it says R2 single family Lakeshore Drive. Your setbacks are, there's numbers on there that are a little bit goofy, but the front setback is 15, the side setback is 6, and the rear is 20.
Yep.
So when you come down here, because you're on a corner lot, then you come down here and you're a corner lot. This is just actually flipped from what you are. Your short section is Lakeshore Drive, the long section is Avondale. We know that the Lakeshore Drive setback is 15 feet. The problem that we have is it would be really easy for us to say, yeah, because the front setback is 15 feet, the side setback on that corner lot is 15 feet too. We can't find it. I've looked for it, I asked Chris to look for it, and we can't find it in there. So what we're understanding the ordinance says is whatever the setback is on that street, that's what you have to abide by, which we put that at 30 foot. Well, and I don't even know if I should say this or not, but you couldn't meet that. So as Bob had said earlier, before you were here, the BZA, Bob, I don't know that you talk because you're on the BZA. The BZA is gonna ask you.
So, yeah, you have two choices. One would be designing a house that's gonna fit on this lot. And wife gave me the same one. All that's what would be the.
And it's in pre-approval.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, yeah, and then the other option is to go to BZA. But they're gonna say, you know, is this a lawn or a need? Can you design a new house that would fit on that lot? If you can, then it becomes a lawn, not a need. And they might turn you down. Although sometimes what I think they're gonna do, they don't do so. You know, I'm just telling you my
I
take.
think we could design a whole and
Right, and so that's, unfortunately, and I know you want to make that argument and have that discussion with us. We don't have the power to do that. Our job, fortunately, is black and white. Their job, they can let you do whatever.
So if I ask you a question, if the ordinance is silent on something,
I'm sorry.
if the ordinance is silent on something,
But it isn't silent though. So I'll read it again too. It's just, and then again, if you need, I'll email it to Larry. 154-105 is clear. It just doesn't have numbers to it. So what it says is on corner lots, a front yard setback meeting the minimum requirements of the zoning district. So your front of your zoning district is what? What is
It's
it?
15,
No, are they R2 or are they R?
R2.
So it says a front yard setback meeting the minimum requirements of the zoning district in which the zoning lot is located are required on each street, place, or courtway frontage. So you're required to meet whatever that front yard setback is for your zoning district. The issue becomes what is, so we forgot, I guess, is there are two. And the front yard setback is 15 in R2, correct?
Yes.
So that may be where you get to your 15. Because what's the name of that side street? Yeah. We're saying that it's 30, but if it's zone R2, is it 30?
That's beyond me. I guess I'm not,
Does that make sense? Our question?
it certainly does. And that's beyond my pay grade. That's your.
We gave you one.
I gave you one.
I mean, maybe,
So does it say, for quick, Chris, does it say that in the R2 district, all the front yard setbacks are 15 feet?
It does. It says Lake Shore Drive. It doesn't say north, because there are certain things that are required north of Lake Shore driveway, which is setback or the view protection things. And north of Lake Shore Drive, we need to find and change. But it does say in R2.
That is north and south of Lake Shore Drive.
No, well, in R2, it just said Lake Shore Drive.
Well, then that would be north and south, right?
Because it's like this in North Lakeshore Drive until.
It's R2. It's,
Lakeshore Drive properties are R2.
so,
Yes.
Then if it says that in R2, front yard setbacks are 15 feet,
you have to meet.
and then in the other part of the ordinance, it says if you're on a corner lot, you've got to meet the setbacks of both streets that you're on, those ordinances contradict one another.
Or do they? Because it's not the street, it's the district will dictate. So
So it does say the street, right? The corner lot, the setback of the street.
it says you have to meet both streets, but if it's all in R2, or they don't have a 30-foot set.
Then I think you've got a case to say, hey, the ordinance is at best ambiguous.
Well, and I think that's what he was getting, right? It doesn't speak to, or you'll, ambiguous, doesn't get construed against them, it's construed against
Yeah.
the traffic.
Against us.
Joe has.
We could sit here and just talk about it back and forth. We don't know for sure. I think we either, if you recommend to go to BZA, that's one thing, or the other thing is maybe we have to, or we could, and I don't know for sure, Chris, how much more there'd be, but maybe we should pursue this a little bit more and see if we can come up with something. And Larry, you're probably right. We probably won't, and we won't have the right to do it. But if we take a little time just to see if we can, it wouldn't hurt. But I don't know what anybody else thinks.
Well, I will say that in the head note 9 that is attached to show what the table that
It's up there.
that is the table, and R2, and I don't know, so I'm going off of Larry's, wherever they call it something. So if their property is zoned R2, their front setbacks are 15. And what it says is you have to meet both streets. It doesn't say there's a 30-foot setback on that side street.
You have to meet both streets.
Well, whatever the front setback, so let's say the left one. It's 30-foot front setbacks, right, and that's the front setback on that one that puts the BZ, they tore down their house. They're on a corner lot, they had a 30-foot setback, they had to meet the setback that was required on both streets. Does that make sense? So 30 and 30, even though the front of the house was a certain spot, they had to have a 30-foot setback on both streets. This house falls in R2. Right, 154, 105 says they have to meet setbacks on both streets. It doesn't say what that setback is. Now, our appendix and the zoning dictates there are two. The front setback is 15 feet.
Even though it's edited.
Yeah, because it's R2.
Well, that puts a whole nother light on it. Then from what I'm hearing Chris say, this house is approvable. I mean, am I thinking about that wrong? If it's in R2, then the setback on Avondale, in the R2 district is 15 feet. Right?
I agree. Well, the setback on Avondale is not 15 feet. The
In the
setback,
R2 district it is.
that's the question. So I just want to make sure, unfortunately, you guys are in the middle of this. This is the first time so that's my time. And I doubt this is going to be the last time. So the BZA doesn't set precedent. I don't know if we do or not. I just want to make sure that we're right. And I mean, I can tell you that I sympathize with the owners because the existing house is this way. And that's what they're proposing to build. But what I don't want to do is make an error and then have somebody come back to me or not to me, but actually to the town in 2 years and say, hey, you did this. How come you're not letting me do that? That's the only reason, because I can't see it clear, and that's why I asked Chris. Certainly, if we say, hey, we think this could work by what we're reading, then we improve it.
Well, we can't find it, who's gonna find it? Well, that's our job. To find out, make the system.
No, our job is to enforce the ordinances, and right now, the ordinances are clear.
We can't find it where it says that the name or doesn't say.
Well, we have exhausted finding.
Right.
Well, what do you need? Zoning map, is that part of the code? Is there a
I
zoning
don't
map?
have it here. And to your point, Ken, exactly what happened on the 3007 Loma Portal project is they went to the BCA, I think twice. They came back, they changed back and forth. And we could not figure out how that we could make this work. And then Pete went through all of the ordinances and he found out and came back to us and said, hey, we can approve this because of this. So that's a pretty concrete thing. And when Pete's, I'm not gonna put Pete in that position, but my problem is, I want to make sure that we do this correctly. Because, and not in deference to you guys, but it's for the next time that it happens, and it will happen again. Where are, I'd only like to have this happen to us one time.
Well, there's zoning. You got this? Well, it's, if you just go to the town website.
Okay.
You can link to the actual master plan and zoning. Again, I'm not, you guys are the decision maker, not, given that we're here in the budget, there's ability to, you know. I got it.
We need to do some study on this, consider we.
There's some. I think we're going around and around. I think we need some time. Time's not gonna kill for us to really make a dramatic mistake. And we want to take, I think we need to take the time and let's research it a little bit more. Maybe there's other opinions to gather. Because this is a very difficult one. We need facts, not well, okay, well, that's what you're getting now. We don't have things. So that's what I agree with, it's just what you said. It's not for us to get the opinion, let's see if we can find out the facts.
And I agree with that, Joe, but what I don't want to have to do is put the owners through, another process. I'd almost think that my suggestion would be to file for variance. And if we find in the next 2 weeks that we could get this done, just like Pete did before, they could pull their variance. That way, we're not saying to you, let's just hold you in abeyance for another month. And then you come back next month and we can't find it. And Pete, as I said, this exact thing happened. It was a corner lot and it was where your frontage is. And Pete found it buried somewhere and we were able to prove the permit. So I know you guys probably don't want to hear this. I think unless somebody wants to make a motion to approve it, we can vote on it. I think that might be the fastest thing for you guys. And if we can find a situation where we can get it done, and that's what we were looking. I just couldn't find it. I can't find it so far.
We'll find it if it's there.
How we're gonna be able to say that you got 15 and 15 instead of 15, that Lakeshore Drive setback is 15, and the Avondale setback is 30.
So I'm just playing devil's advocate. But what you might be there, what makes you think that Avondale is 30?
Because every house on Avondale is 30.
Except in the R2 district. Yeah.
Okay, if that's the case, then
So that's fine. Okay, it's now, this is a novel property, and I'm pushing you to, I'm just trying to make sure we're asking and researching the right questions so that we're not back here in November still trying to decide, spinning our wheels. Then I'm not saying that, but make sure we're looking at the right question. So everything on Avondale might be 30, but it's supposed to be 30. It might be because it's supposed to be interior. So there is a zoning map, and there's a zoning map on here. I don't think that it's very, when you blow it up as part of the master plan, I don't think you can see it, but it's covered. So it shows you what's R2. So for instance, if their property is R2, then by 154, 105, it says they have to meet both streets requirements. And then R2 setback is 15 feet for the front. And then that's what would apply to both.
In the appendix, it says R2 single parentheses Lakeshore Drive and parentheses. So, I mean, they're not saying North Lakeshore, they're saying Lakeshore Drive.
Yeah, the only, that I can see, the only distinguishing factor on those things is north of Lakeshore Drive, when you start to combine lots, that's what changes them.
Right.
That happens. So yes, that has happened.
That's the.
And that is correct.
That specifically,
Yep.
addresses north and south Lake Shore Drive, otherwise it just says R2, Lorenz Lake Shore Drive. And the map will show, so that's an easily discernible.
It's, Chris, we're going around circles. It's obvious. R2, you have a map, and on the map, the houses on Lake Shore Drive are on R2. It's obvious, it's easy. There's no issue about it. There's only one, honestly, if you really want to know about it. The one at bus stop 31 is actually R1, but that's beside the point. But all I'm saying is, and then why don't you guys vote them or something, because I'm not for this. We're sitting here going round and round. You're coming up with different opinions and everything else, just what you said, no facts, but opinions. And we're just looking at it. And I don't see a harm in taking some time to do it correctly, because if we're incorrect, I think there wouldn't be,
Okay, thanks, Joe.
I'm gonna make a motion to approve the permit request.
Okay, motion by Bob. Is there a second?
Is there any other problem with this permit request, by the way?
No.
Okay.
Did Bob make a motion?
I did.
I'll second it. To pass?
Second by Ken. Any other discussion? All those in favor, aye. 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 Opposed, same sign.
no,
Better do it by hand.
Okay, I'll do it by roll call. How about that? That might be easier. Carter, you don't vote. Joe,
no,
Pete,
Yes.
Joy. No. Ken,
Yes.
Anita,
Yes.
Todd,
Yes.
Larry, yes. That's 5-2, so it passes. Okay, you're awesome.
So we're gonna go.
Right. So.
Please, Jeff had heard that the fire department sometimes we need to launch a house.
Yes.
Is that still something they do?
Yeah, I'm actually on the fire, too, so if you guys, are you gonna do it like in September? You're gonna have the season here and then you're gonna slap contract.
Waiting to start.
So,
End of,
so you want to start now?
end of September.
If you,
I think it's a 2 weeks notice.
well, you have to have a permit and then he's got to get everything in line, so that's a whole separate issue. But,
But they do still do that.
yeah, so I'm gonna give you a card. You call me and let me know when they want to do it. I don't have my town cards. That's my real job. If you call me, I'll make sure that we'll do whatever you can, whatever you do. We can't burn it. It takes too many, permits downstate, but it would be greatly appreciated. Yeah, it's great training. It gives the guys actual in-house trying to find stuff. So yeah, if you let us know when you want to do it, when you can.
So if you could tell you, we have demolition on X days, you can do it anytime.
Right, if you tell us when you're gonna have demolition, let's say, just not saying that, but let's say you said September 1st, and you said you're gonna be in the house till August 22nd, and then we know we have that window. So tell us when you're gonna be out of the house, and when you're gonna have demo, and then we'll be able to do it. Thank you very much, that's, well, much appreciated.
Larry,
I forget it. Oh, I think it was the retaining wall. We currently have a retaining wall, we would rather not have the retaining wall and kind of just use our playground.
You can do that, if you take it out, you won't be able to put it back, just keep that in mind.
And is there any reason, because our wall is the same adjacent to our neighbors, and was there a reason why it was put up? Because a lot of other ones don't.
That house, we moved here in 1964 and that house was there, so the zoning has changed since then. And a lot of houses on Lakeshore Drive, they have walls on both sides, actually throughout the whole beach. We heard the discussion about urban before you, so.
That's what.
Right, so what happens is, I would encourage you as a builder, say, hey, don't take that wall. If you take it out, make sure that if you don't want it there, and you want to landscape that or do whatever, and you take it out, and just be cautious because you can't put it back. Yeah. Just-
Okay.
Mike, Just a question, I just wanted clarity. That what you got, what we voted for and was approved, wasn't just that it would be, 15, 30 or whatever, but it's, you approved the whole house and that's the whole.
Yes, that's right.
Okay.
Pete,
The issue of retaining walls,
right, it's out here.
right?
Yeah.
And
It's actually,
and it's coming out.
no,
Well, we don't,
it's
maybe,
it's not on the bill, right?
Retaining wall in the setback is not proper.
so we should take that.
What, is it, what's setback, where's it at?
It's in the right,
It's in the,
it's in the right, it's not on the,
within 15, both sides.
it's not even on the property, it's in the right of way.
So that's got to be,
Okay.
this is a new house.
Yeah.
And the plan is.
So,
But I wanted, not just because I heard that.
so everything I just said is true.
Yeah.
So basically, it's a clean slate.
Yeah.
So you have to apply and abide by every rule that's now exists. As opposed to something that might be grandfathered. There's nothing grandfathered.
Well, obviously, as you can see, putting a house where a house was. We're pretty much kind of putting it. Okay, so when we demolish it, they're obviously taking all those stuff out.
Right.
We don't have to backfill it if we're going to be putting in the foundation right after, right?
No, so they'll demo the house and then probably dig the foundation, and they'll say that, yeah,
Thank you, appreciate it.
thanks.
Thank you. We'll get you.
I wasn't,
Okay. All right, we got a lot of things left here, but I tell you what, why don't we hit things that I know, and then you guys can hit things that you know, that are, issues right away. Number 21 and 24 are issues that are current. I'm not sure about 25.
Well, okay, I don't go through all, that's the motions that we're at, except the
21,
21, we, 2 months ago, we required them to have a survey completed, I think within 30 days or something like that, or 2 weeks, some period of time. We still don't get it. Now, the reason I'm raising this as well as the other things is, we put a lot of work into people who are trying to be nice, and I'll include Larry and Carl on this. It's tough for them to go through and issue citations, in particular, people that have known them for a long time. But 2226 is Scott law. This has been going on for 6 months. We've asked for something to prove that they have met the requirements that they submitted. And we still don't have any. I want citations listed. Oh, and we've given them stuff over, I live on that street, I've seen cars in that location on several occasions, even in the past week. And I've seen people over 4th of July living in that house, where there's no certificate of occupancy assigned. We need to shut this down and cite these people. If we're not gonna do it, then we might as well get out of this business. That's my opinion.
So if there's no certificate of occupancy, can we have police put yellow tape around that house?
say that again now.
If there is no certificate of occupancy and we think people are living in there, can we put yellow tape, crime scene tape around the house?
I don't know. I don't know if we can do that or not.
Why don't we check with the chief and see what he can do? Because they have to be the enforcement people, right?
Yes. Okay, so the first thing, I'll make a motion to take the burden off Larry and Carter. The town, the building commission authorized a citation on this property for non-compliance.
Yes, but this is specifically no certificate of occupancy. If there is no, you can't have it because it can't be in.
And they fail to provide proof of an as-built situation.
Okay, so we have a motion to issue a citation for 2226. Is there a second?
I'll second it and ask the police to enforce it.
Pete, second by Bob. Any discussion?
Yeah, I have a question. Give me up to speed on this one. When was this approved? Are we saying that this was approved at one time in life, or this is?
A plan was approved for this property, but.
When was it?
Over a year ago.
This is over a year. That there was a plan that was approved.
Yeah,
Okay, and what have they done since then, or why are we against these guys? What have they done, haven't done?
They were done, raised this about 4 times. The very first thing they did was build it on some portion on the neighbor's property. That was incorrect. And we asked them to move the design farther, what would that be, west? East. And they did that, however, my contention that they have not satisfied the 35% requirement, nor other portions of the so-called survey that they provided us, which was not much of a survey, it's sort of like just a hand, didn't draw thing. So we've asked them to provide a as-built survey that delineates what has been built and whether or not it matches the square footage requirement. That's the basic issue.
So, and we committed a stop work order?
I'm sorry?
Is there a stop work order?
Yes.
When I did, everything interior was done. So it's all honestly.
So,
It was in place,
so,
yeah.
oh, so what are we saying? What are we?
we wanted it as-built survey.
And they've been notified of this at least 2 months ago. Still haven't happened.
But why are we finding it? What are we?
That's right.
That's what Pete's motion is the
That's what I'm
same.
saying.
And is that gonna go back, Pete? Like you're gonna find them from when? You got an idea on that? Where are you gonna start to find? Today, a month ago, 2 months ago? How are you gonna start?
We issued a stop work order and it's proper indication, he goes there, there doesn't seem to be any activity. I walk down the street, the contractor car is there. There's nobody to be seen, they're in the house, I don't know whether I can get back to that.
So the only question, I'm not trying to be difficult, which you guys usually think I am, but I just wanna know how we're gonna do it. We're gonna find them, okay? We're gonna start finding them today.
Yes.
We're gonna find them for every, but this is the $500 fine. We're gonna find them for every day until what happens?
We gave them a 30-day notice, but we didn't offer any penalty. And we offered that, so we give them, we give 2 week notice. If they don't find, if they don't do that, give them no.
And they know what's is expected? Do they know what's expected of them?
Yeah, that's hand-built survey.
Okay.
It's simple.
No.
I sent an email, Joe, about it.
Any other discussion? All those in favor, aye. Opposed, same sign. Okay. These seem to come up, maybe if we could just tackle these two, then we could push these others off unless somebody has something that they want to get to. Stock 31 activity and ownership, we do have a permit that is in a recording of property resolutions. Prepare, i.e. period, stock 31. So, stock 31, you guys, it came through, but it's not at this meeting because it didn't meet the cutoff. But since Pete asked about this, and Joe has talked about it numerous times, so stop 31 has a permit to enlarge their deck. It meets all our requirements. Then I guess the question is, I don't know what is the question, Joe, but that was Pete.
I'll say that, since I submitted. Sure, my opinion is, we've had this discussion a couple of times. When the town resolves something, that's a big resolution. For example, on stop 18, issue we had there was contention, Harry, making claims against stop 41. I'm sorry, not 18. And in fact, that he should have a driveway. And he subsequently agreed to a resolution or something that the town would say he gives up any claim to any ownership or anything on that and stop 18. I want that recorded at the recorder's house at stop 18. Why? Because in 8 years, none of us will be on the board, none of us will be sitting here, and that issue will come up. And that's the same issue with stop 31. And any other issues that we have, that we require somebody to abide by a certain rule. Those things should be recorded, not in the recorder's office, so that when people come, for example, stop 31, there was an agreement that they, after a certain point in time, they could no longer operate a business on that place. Nobody on the board here remembered that. Unfortunately, did. There was an agreement that was given to the town, sold away in a file. 2 years from now, 5 years from now, that would have been forgotten. And those are the kinds of things that they seem very trivial when you start, but they cause problems later. And we should recommend to for every agreement like that should be recorded in the county recorder's office. Then when somebody goes to look at it, and there's a future issue about the debate, who owns this property, that sort of thing, it's there. It's not residing.
So stop 31 resolved itself, right? Because the new owner, the previous owner stopped using that as a business, made it residential, changed that way with the county, and the new owner has already, but your point isn't lost. I think the most recent version of any of that is, I don't even know if that was the project that we were talking about, that we recorded the agreement, the deed. Is that the same project?
Not their project.
Okay. But we record it so that it shows up in the future that they cannot change and put parking spaces there just because the county allowed them to put part of their septic system plan there. But that is an example that just being mindful to do such things in the future because they do show up in title searches and changes of property.
Can I ask a question here, Pete? Or Larry or whatever? What in God's name are we talking about?
But
I'm asking for one simple thing. I ask it numerous times. Is show me the deed.
Well, we're not,
Who owns the
we're
property?
not there. though. We're not talking, that application isn't up for consideration at this point. No, Pete is talking about other matters. That application wasn't timely.
Now, the other thing I'd like to mention, just so you guys understand it, it's kind of quirky, but these 3 or 4 structures that we're talking about there, where the real estate was and everything else, just for your sake and everybody else, that those areas, which is within this 100-foot line, they are not in Charlotte Hills subdivision 2. Just so you know, they're not in that subdivision, because if you look at what I thought we were going to talk about, if you look at how subdivision 2 was planted, that there's a place in there that's 100 feet, and that is where, if you guys remember, when Oakley wanted to build a house, there's a big hullabaloo that all of a sudden they said, no, wait a minute, how can you build a house? Where's that property at?
okay, well, might be just somewhere around 2018, something like that. the town acquiesced that. Yeah, and it's another situation that should be recorded on each of those deeds rather than just an agreement by the town. But that property was a group of acquiescence, which is a fancy annexation. So it was brought into the town, and because it was never officially done in the first place. So that's the kind of thing that should be recorded on the deed. And it's actually a physical part of Long Beach, because that affects what we're talking about here about the, how we want agreements to be evaluated and recorded. So it's there. And it was done, I assume, properly, but I can't say that. It's a legal issue.
I can show you the document. if you want. It was a document that the board, there were 5 people on the board, they accepted. And, 100 foot, 100 feet, for example, and 3 of the 5, council members signed. Now, and I was not one of them. And you were in January, and that was for the 100 feet.
Leave that to the 3 amigos. Permit display violations and police enforcement. I've gone by construction places and I don't see permits from every place. I think if we want to avoid the things like Carter runs into people throwing stone down the next stuff, we get the support of the police who can see if there's construction going on and there's no permit display. And they issue that citation. That's all really part of our ordinance. It's something we've not really required them to do.
I'll ask Mark. They were pretty good about when Mark first started. I'll just ask him if he would step that up to monitor the construction.
That'd be good. Other than that, I don't know the other stuff. The issue we talked about last time, we just don't have enough time to keep going into this.
Okay, does anybody else want to go over any of these? The only issue I have is, are we going to discuss anything with the beach where those people think they are?
I'm sorry.
That's what our permits.
That is, it's hard.
Yeah. I'm not sure what you're talking about.
That was not.
Right, yes, they didn't meet this.
Well, I will say one more thing. Item 22, beach share violations. There are at least 2 properties between 20 and 22 that have violations. They put stairs down that are not put walls with the seawall, and they're new. You need to look at those.
All right, between 20 and 22 feet.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, to kind of fair, you probably need to look at all the entire shoreline of Long Beach.
What's happened, Bob, and you know this because you walked this thing with Lou and came up with the inventory. Several of those properties that were in violation, so to say, they're buried, but there are additional. I don't walk the beach as much as I used to, but I'll go down and take a look at 20 to 22. And if anybody has anything that they know that has come up, just let Carter and I know, and we'll go out and take a look at it.
Take a look at it.
That's probably.
You want to do that? We have both.
Say, do any of us have any comments on any of these, or are you going to move forward?
No, we were going through an order. Anita, it was just, if there was anything, rather than, so the ones that we didn't talk about, we don't like to push on. But if anybody wanted to talk about any of them we didn't talk about, certainly, we can.
Number 27, the noise review, noise ordinance that's been sent to the police commission for review.
Okay,
Because I was at APC, the topic got sent there, but then Joy Condo filed, and then Barbara Morgan was working on years ago. So the noise ordinance has all been sent to the police commission.
okay.
And there was some question about the structure definition. Who's working on it? Purple, which is that? See,
I think that,
I'll send you clarification. I think it's simple. You just have to decide. So I will forward that to you. That you've been doing the heavy lifting on some of these other ones, Pete, I'll send it to you. There's just a definition that doesn't necessarily correspond with one of the sections and it came up at the zoning level, so I'll send that to you.
And then I have one more comment.
Sure.
Number 6, the permit display violations and police enforcement, I'm not sure, but I know there have been discussions, that would be an easy take. When honor is entering things to just do the, permits. So I'm not sure where that's going and nor do I know what 26 exactly meant, but, and.
you mean that the police department had the permit spreadsheet? Or
Yeah, I don't know, I mean, exactly that means the permit display violations or who's that.
So what usually happens is when a permit's issued, and we changed this, I think, years ago. It used to be that people would just come pick permits up here. And the problem with that was that the building inspector had no way of knowing who was actually doing the work and what was gonna happen. So we changed it to, what happens now is the permit gets approved, whether it's, from this meeting or whatever. Then the permit's printed and then Carter meets whenever they're gonna start. We asked them to call Carter. Carter actually meets them and hands the permit to them. So and that's been happening as far as I understand. I think the issue with number 26, Anita, was there's a lot of work that goes on. The shed thing that we talked about earlier, that was a neighbor that called and said, hey, these people are building a shed. So we're going to ask the police department, if you see work going on and you don't see that green permit, call us, let us know. So that we can go out and a lot of stuff gets done on the weekends. That's what happened with the sheds. They came up on a weekend and said, we're going to put a shed here. Yeah.
Thank you.
Didn't we have that requirement under on the back of the permit, must be displayed? I thought we did.
I think it does actually tell you how to mix kids up. Yeah, it's,
A lot of people also, just because they pay for a product.
right. What usually happens is when somebody gets caught is there's all the excuses come out and you try to wade through what you think is right and what is. Any other commission comments?
Just, the other items on the, we talked on the last meeting, things like the grandfather definition, and those, please read those and make sure if there are any comments to talk about last time.
Okay. Any other commission comments?
There was,
Sure.
the White House made a trouble, ranch brawl, career, and a part of the way. They're actually like Gallagher.
I don't think you need a permit, but if they're not on your property, you have to talk to the tree board. You know what I mean, Ken, if they're in the right of way, you need to talk to the tree board about that. I don't know, is the tree board require a permit? I don't know.
Yeah.
Any comments from anybody on Zoom? There's one individual on Zoom. If there are, would you raise your hand? Being none, entertain motion to adjourn. Pete, second. Bob, all those in favor? Thank you.
Thank you.